Righty, oh, we are live. It's week 13, 14. I
13.
always forget which one it is. I'm so useless with which week it is. So it's week 13. Alex is going strong, I think, and I hope. And we have some bad jokes for you. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Sure, yeah. What do you call a blonde with 2 brain cells?
Super
Pregnant.
intelligent. Pregnant. Okay. Good, good, good. What does garlic do when it gets hot?
It takes its clothes off.
Yes.
Yes,
Ah, you did it.
I figured it out.
Sweet. Good boy. Okay, you get a gold star. Hello, Miss Pagan. I see that you're here. I didn't have time to say hi because I was fucking around with my microphone. 90% humidity sounds awful, but good that
Holy
you want to
shit.
work on your plan. Yeah, I would pretty much die, so I'm
Yeah,
glad I'm not there.
yeah. She
Okay, so
must have
tell
some
me,
sweaty flaps right now.
probably. Let's not explore that.
I don't know.
Let's have a look at what's happened this week instead. What what wins do you have? What can you share with me?
Just nothing but wins. Just win after fucking win over the last week.
Fuck yes. Tell me about them.
Well, what is there to say? I've made a concerted effort to stop in my tracks, whatever I'm doing, wherever I am. When I feel cravings or when thoughts come into my head to go and buy something or eat a certain thing, I've put myself in multiple situations where I'm right in front of carbohydrates. People are offering me them. I think I've been offered cakes, pastries, bread, all sorts of shit over the last week, and I've said no to all of it. And it wasn't always easy. Um, Lost another 4 pounds, so now I'm down at 292.
Sweet.
Um, yeah, just like I'm going. I think I'm about midway through the worst of the depression. That I mean, I always get that for the first month. I give up sugar.
Yeah.
I get it's not it's not that I have a baseline feeling of depression, but I'll be fine, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's some, I don't know, some dopamine collapse or something. And yeah, and then all of my thoughts become pretty black, pretty bleak, and then I have to remember to just wait it out. Um, but yeah, I haven't faltered once. No sugar. Um, Lots of cravings observed and sat through. Um, and just generally, I've tried to be quite patient with people. Tried not to judge. Hasn't always been easy, but
No. And sometimes it's fun to judge. That's why we watch Bart when he has a channel.
yeah. Well, I did a market on the weekend, and I and other market stall holders were pretty pissed off because the consensus was that we'd all been overcharged for our pitches by a
Okay.
factor of 3, and this so-called food festival was marketed as being, you know, hugely profitable for traders, that there was going to be a footfall of thousands, but in the end it was just a glorified school fete with barely enough money to go around, and pretty much everyone there lost money. And then I heard that there were some outrageously extortionate prices for certain things, like if traders didn't have their own gazebo, they could rent one for a disgusting sum of like £150. I've never come across a rental fee for a gazebo more than like 30 or 40 quid. So whoever was organizing it was just like very greedy, opportunistic, uh, delusional. And I didn't realize this, but the mother of the woman who organizes it came up to my stall and then said, "Oh, how's it going?" in this really chipper, sanguine tone that just rubbed me up the wrong way. And I just said, "Shit house. Everyone here is hemorrhaging money today, and it's because we've all been raped up the arse by the fucking pitch price." And I said, and you know, the person that organized this knows that today's festival is a complete failure because they've gone on social media and they very naughtily posted footage of last year's festival, which had a much bigger turnout, and they're trying to pass it off as today. I just looked at the social media. It's footage of people of heaving groups of people, and there's hardly anyone here. So I'm like, and then she said, "Oh, that's my daughter." But like, yeah, so that was tense. That was a bit tense, but it's okay. She took it quite well. She
Well,
used that
you
for
got the opportunity to feel tenseness then.
me, tense.
Yes.
But you know, I didn't say anything that was factually incorrect. I think that's Bart's
Yeah.
justification, isn't it, for being
Sure.
vitriolic. But I'm
Okay.
factually correct. Um, you can't argue with science. But
I mean, it's okay
yeah,
to be angry about things. I've never said that that's not okay. So spew it out. All good.
but I just brought that up because
Yeah.
that was like the most negative expression of emotion of the week, and I did feel a bit guilty after I found out it was the woman's mother. But she used her snake-like corporate jujitsu to rebrand everything I said in that euphemistic way of calling it feedback. Nothing is criticism anymore. It's all
Hmm.
feedback. I suppose like feedback is a turd sprayed with perfume.
All good. Let's jump back to you. I want to talk about you and your wins. When you are experiencing those cravings, what happens after? Do they go away straight away? Or is it like a mixed bag of things? What happens?
Depends. I categorize my cravings thusly: uh, work cravings and leisurely cravings.
Okay,
The
tell me
leisurely
what's what.
cravings, well, they have their own difficulties. The work cravings are difficult because I work in an environment with a lot of access to very tempting carbohydrates, very high quality cakes, biscuits, breads, you know, street food, like tantalizingly delicious stuff. Because I'm always working at a farmer's market or a food festival where the best of what's around in this region all congregates. So I think the psychological temptation is higher and it's more acute when I'm working. There are more justifications, rationalizations in my head, you know, oh, but look, it's that stall that does that thing. And, you know, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to have Spanish churros with chocolate sauce.
Every week.
Yeah, once in a lifetime. And then, so I have to be mentally very strong when I'm working. That's when ideas, mantras, ethics, objectives, all kind of intellectually are very, very strong weapons.
So in these
And when I'm
instances, how do you actually focus on just feeling it? Do you just do it on the go? Are you able to do that, or do you have to kind of push it
It
away?
depends. It depends. It is difficult to take a moment and sit down and breathe and observe my emotions when I've got a queue of 8 people waiting to be served.
Yes.
In moments like that, I tend to just rely on ideas to get me to snap out of it. And the ideas are, you know, it can range from anything to the profound to the vain and superficial. So it can be, I don't want to die, but it can also be, I'd like to see my penis again at some point.
I'm glad I didn't spit coffee over the screen. So when you finished at the market or the food festival or wherever you've been, do these cravings come back and bother you afterwards, or are you kind of over them once you get away from that environment?
I'm over them. I'm fine.
Okay.
I've got my milk. I've got
Okay.
my cow's nipples. That really helps. And I don't mean that I don't mean that I drink loads of milk when I have a craving. I just mean that the cravings aren't as bad and as frequent because I'm drinking a couple of liters of milk every day. Yeah, leisurely cravings on my day off. That's when I've got to be very aware of my body, my breathing. That's when I need to sit down. It's been very sunny in the last week, and on 3 occasions, I when I had a craving, I decided to get out of the flat, but not to get into my car, which is typically what I do when I want to run away from a craving. I get into my car. Instead, I've been going to the park just behind my flat and putting down a towel and just sitting and just trying to sit quietly under the sun and breathe. I lie down on my back, put my hand on my solar plexus, and just try to breathe in and out slowly. While working on my tan. So that's
What is happening to the craving while you're doing that?
Slowly it disappears.
Okay.
And
how do you feel after that?
Well, I find that being under the sun for an hour, I'm sure a lot of people have experienced this, it diminishes appetite.
Fair enough, but cravings are slightly different than appetite, to be fair.
Yeah. I'm just saying that after I sunbathe for an hour, when I walk back to the flat, I've noticed that my appetite is diminished. And I've also one of the reasons why I've been going under the sun is because I read that sunbathing, it lowers anxiety. It's good to be in the sun. Gets your stress hormones down. So yeah, lots of wins.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've made, and I know why. It's because I've prioritized this process for the last 2 weeks, whereas I didn't before. I prioritized other things and then just tried to add it on. But now I've been just making everything about self-observation and the mission.
How long is it since you had any sugar or naughty carbs that you don't want to eat?
A fortnight.
Okay. If you had something, would you be scared that you would fall back?
At the moment, yes, but maybe in a month or so, I might be in a position to have a cheeky little gyoza or something, a little slice of sourdough with some butter. But I don't want to. I feel better without plants. Plants make me feel suicidal.
How confident are you that you can process any craving that comes your way?
Very confident. I'm just not certain yet that I won't become distracted and abandon this mode which I've created for myself.
Yeah. Well, that's fine.
Well, I'd like to talk to you about something actually, because I definitely need your advice on this.
Can you hold that thought for a second?
Of course I can. For you, Pim, I've got 5.
So I have 2 more questions. The first one is, what would you, if you were really going to enjoy something, like a naughty carb of some kind, what would it be?
It would be something savory, because I know that it's a lot easier to get back on track with carnivore after some savory carbs than
Okay,
sweet.
I want the really, really bad one. What would the worst one be that you really
Oh,
like?
you mean what would I, if it were a case of to hell with the consequences, what would I eat?
Yep.
Oh, I think I would get in my car with my friend Abder, and we would drive to a pop-up and eat a Neapolitan pizza.
So it's still savory.
Yeah, but that's just because I've had that idea in my head for the last couple of months, because there's this guy who makes pizza 60 minutes south of Bristol, and he has a pop-up every week, and we've been talking about going there for months, but we never did. And yeah, that's what I would do if I could have one day of transgression. I would quickly call up Abder and go,
Yeah.
okay, we have 24 hours to eat a pizza. Come on, Jack Bauer.
So, well, I have a suspicion here that that is a bit about much more than the pizza. Oh God. Am I correct? It's not actually about the pizza. It's more about the whole experience, including the
yeah,
pizza.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's right.
So if you were sitting in your flat and eating something sweet, what would that be? Something that you really, really like.
Yeah, I'd probably go to. There's a chocolatier on North Street called Zara's. It's run by 4 miserable feminists, but they make
No
fantastic
judgment here.
chocolates.
Yeah.
You said judgment can be fun.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, it's no. I'm just saying, like, you go in there, and they have the best job in the world. They make chocolate all day. It's like chocolat with Johnny Depp, but they're all po-faced, sort of miserable, woke, and I can feel that my testosterone offends every molecule in their bodies. But anyway, they make this salted hazelnut praline in milk chocolate, and I can quite literally kind of insert it directly into my esophagus like a pelican and eat it in one go. That's how delicious it is. Yeah,
Yes.
hazelnut and salt, and yeah.
Good. Thanks.
Why did you ask?
Now, that's the second question,
Oh dear.
because you are going to eat that this week.
Oh, fuck off. I've just lost 8 pounds.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? So this is
Oh,
what you're
no.
going to do. I
Yeah.
know you don't like worksheets, but I'm going to send you a worksheet that you're going to have to fill in while you're doing it. So this is how it's going to be going. So you're going to plan for when you're going to do this. The first thing you're going to do is, I'm just going to pull it up here. Decide what food you want to eat. And we have decided now because I want it to be something that you really enjoy. That's why I was asking. Then you're going to decide how much of this food you want to eat. And that's up to you. You can say, oh, I'm going to eat a kilo of that if you want. Like, that's up to you. However, you don't have to eat all of it if you don't want to. And then you're going to rate how hungry you are from on a scale from 1 to 10. So that's just good information for you to have to kind of see how that affects your cravings, etc. And then you're going to take this hazelnut praline and you're just going to smell it, you're going to look at it, you're going to feel the texture and just take all of that into your brain with your senses. And then you're going to write down how you're feeling before you're eating this. And then you're going to
Okay.
start eating it one bite at a time, not like a pelican, just one bite at a time. And after every single bite, you are going to describe what is happening, like what it tastes like, how much you're enjoying it on a scale from 1 to 10, like how enjoyable is it? And you're going to see from bite to bite how that goes down. And it
Yeah.
drops very quickly. After 5, 6 bites, most people would say that I'm done. Like the first one, you're just gonna be like, oh my god, this is heaven. You're gonna get goosebumps, and you're just gonna feel like, oh my god, I really died and gone to heaven because this is so
Mhm.
amazing. And then the second bite is almost, I feel like my taste buds are almost like saturated with that goodness, and it doesn't add anything more, but it still tastes good. And then it starts to just get more and more sugary and not feel right. So I wanted to
Yeah.
kind of analyze it and write it all down. So this is just a process for you to decondition your brain that when you were thinking about it now, it's like, oh my God, that's so good. We're going to destroy
Mhm.
that for you. That's why I wanted it to be something that you really like. Because if you take something
Mhm.
that is safe, it's not going to have the same effect.
Well, uh, I will absolutely do that for you, Pim,
Good.
my master. But honestly, I have, I really have experienced what you just described, just in a slightly different context and with slightly different parameters.
What was
Um,
that?
uh, it wasn't. It wasn't. I'm not saying that I sat down and consciously chose to observe it. I'm just saying that over the last 6 months, since like my last relapse in December, the carbohydrate abuse has caused more pain and suffering than like uh, any other year, and I have an acute sensitivity to the sensation of being poisoned, and when I'm saturated with that feeling of toxicity, even if I'm hungry, when I eat very carby foods, it's had this effect of ruining the pleasure for me. And
Perfect.
and I've had like a visceral disgust for sugary things like chocolate and cakes and biscuits. Um, it's not it's not just like a an emotional or intellectual thing. It's not like, oh, what am I doing to myself? It's not sort of panic. It's just the physiological response to it. Like
Yeah.
George Carlin in an interview about drugs said that every drug begins with 100% pleasure, 0% pain. And over
Mm-hmm.
time, you see that ratio just totally reverse. And then
Yeah.
there comes the point where it's 100% pain. And I think with carbs now, I'm at a point where it's like 90% pain, 10% pleasure, and I don't want to know what 100% pain feels like, because that's probably a fucking stroke. And yeah.
But that's good.
So yeah.
So now you just need to do it with the actual foods. Because you're more talking about carbs as a concept, but your brain is still like, yeah, we know that, but they still taste good. So by doing this, you're gonna attack the taste as well.
Well, to answer your question, I simply went back into the past to the last time I ate that thing, and I just recalled how I felt about it.
Yeah.
It's got everything. It's nuts, it's chocolate,
Yep.
it's salt, it's sugar, it's fat, it's texture,
Yep.
and it's very high quality. It's got it all.
Yes, I agree. I'm just like, when you said it, I was like, that's the perfect food.
Yeah.
Or if we want to call it food. It
Yeah.
has it all. I bet I would love that.
Yeah,
Like
you would.
taste-wise. Yeah. There's no way I wouldn't. I don't even have to taste it to know that that's like just made for my taste buds to go like, hooray! We won the lottery
Absolutely.
today. Yeah.
Absolutely. It is. The dogs
That's why
have
I was so happy when you started talking about salted hazelnut. I was like, oh yes, he got it. This is
yeah.
perfect. So
We're a
this is
couple
going to
of
be super, super interesting to see
we're
what
a
you're
couple of
feeling.
we're a couple of kindred fatties, you and I.
Yeah. Let's be kindred fatties. Or not. Rehabilitated kindred fatties. So, I really do want you to fill in this worksheet, or if you write on a separate piece of paper or your phone or wherever you want to read on it, write on. But I want to go through all of that next time. So make sure that you take the notes properly. So I don't want you to sit and recall from your brain. I want you to actually write it down.
Yeah.
Because we're going to analyze everything.
Okay.
And then in the future, it's probably a really good idea for you if you decide to go and have that pizza, for example, that you plan for that and then you use this worksheet when you're doing that as well.
Yeah, but then I'm combining pleasure with
Yes.
tawdry, and what will my companion think as I sit there writing notes between every mouthful?
She
And
will
then
think that you're taking this fucking seriously.
yeah, but it must be quite deflating to hear someone say, have you noticed how after 6 bites you don't really enjoy it anymore? Great
Well, you don't
value
have
for
to
money.
tell her. You just like do your thing. Or if you want to take mental notes and write it down as soon as you're back home. But take some notes. Like make sure that you know what's on that worksheet so that you can recall everything and do it as soon as you can.
Mm.
But also let her know what's going on, so she's not, oh, did you not like the pizza?
No,
Be
it's
like,
a
no,
him. It's a him.
oh, him.
He's an Algerian epigeneticist.
And what was his name?
Abder.
Abda.
Abder.
Okay. But it ends with an A. That should be a her.
No, Abder. Abder.
Abda. Okay, Abda. Let's see. Okay. So just let him know what's going on. Like, I might not eat the whole pizza. I'm going to enjoy this. We're going to have a really good time. And I'm going to enjoy the fuck out of this pizza until I don't anymore.
Okay. Well, look, I'm gonna eat the praline on next Tuesday. Oh no, is it? You want to do next Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'll eat the praline. On I will do that. Uh,
Before
like
we talk,
a
I don't
couple
care
of
when.
hours. A couple of
Yeah.
hours. Yeah, a couple of hours before the live stream, so it's
Oh,
fresh.
Jesus. Okay. That's okay. You
And
can do
then
that.
yeah.
So for those of you who are watching, because I might forget to say it later on, next week we are going to do it a day late because I'm going to do some coach training. So I won't be here. I'm just going to become a better coach and kick Alex's ass a little bit more. So, yes, I'm super excited about this. So, how has it gone, by the way, with... Oh, no, you wanted to ask me something. Let's do that first.
Well, firstly, I wanted to ask. I know it's very unprofessional of me, but I think I need a bit more light. I want to just go put the light on.
Do that.
Can I walk away? I know this is really slick.
Yeah, do it now. You don't
All
have to
right.
tell me a story about it. Just do it.
This is more reality TV than a live stream.
Yeah, that's fine. And your sofa got a completely different color.
I got some milk as well.
Good. We don't want to run out of milk. So what was the other thing you wanted to ask?
Well, I just wanted your thoughts on starting relationships with someone, during recovery. I know some people are quite dubious of it. They think, especially people in the 12-step program, they think like you should go through recovery before, before finding a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever. But yeah, I started seeing this girl over the last 2 weeks, and I'm just conscious that that whatever happens with that, because it's still early days, it's still a very it's still, the uncertain, fragile period initially, where nothing is defined, and when it's just a couple of weeks in, things can just change or they can end with quite a lot of volatility. And I've just been thinking about that, about like
But what do you want to do?
well, I just wanted to, I guess I wanted to tell you what's been going on for me internally.
I already had a good idea. You sort of told me off
Well,
camera, sort of.
no. What I mean is, like, I wanted to tell you in the context of what we're trying to achieve. I wanted to tell you that
So if I said, no, I don't think that's a good idea, are you going to call it off?
no, I didn't want I wasn't asking, for an absolute response, whether I should do it or not. I was just looking for some advice on how to basically manage tumultuous feelings through this process, because
You
basically
know how to.
I
You've been practicing it.
yeah, but now things have changed slightly, and I've got like attachment issues, abandonment issues, all of that fucking BPD stuff. And I've just been like, I've been trying to maintain my focus on what I'm trying to do here, and not fall into the trap, which I always do, of seeing my worth through the lens of someone else, and the attention that they give me, or the affection that they give me, or I've been observing my feelings over the last week and noticing that, like, that my emotional state can fluctuate relative to this person's response to me. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because I think I need
But that's kind of
guidance.
normal. But is that actually a problem? Because you know how to handle your emotions. So you're going to have emotions and you know how to handle them.
Sometimes they're pretty strong.
And you
Like
can still handle them. I know you
no,
can, because you've been doing it.
I don't know. I guess I'm bringing this up because last year I got involved in a really serious relationship, and I made the mistake of thinking that that, as a lot of people do, I suppose what I did was, it was a little bit like when dysfunctional couples have a baby, and then they tell themselves, "Oh, now that a baby's on the way, it will force us to do the work we need to do on ourselves," and that's, you know, that's a big risk. It's a huge gamble and a foolish assumption. And I did a similar thing last year, thinking that someone else on the carnivore diet who understood the plight and all of the reasons for, why a person, gets sugar out of their diet and moves over to meat is a good idea. I thought, that that would be the stimulus I needed, and the catalyst I needed to find the strength and the focus inside to self-improve. But it actually had the opposite effect, and it just destabilized me. And 11 months has gone by. I gave myself like nearly a year before I let anyone else in. And I don't know, I worry sometimes. I worry whether or not, like, it's still too early, and maybe I should stay alone. But also, I'm naturally drawn to people. I don't like being alone. I don't like being single.
Okay, so not liking being single might be a thing that you would like to work on, because I think that that's mainly because you don't like your own company and you don't like yourself. And we are going to work on that anyway. But, if you like this person and if we weren't doing this right now, would you still be with them? And if the answer is yes, then I would suggest that you would still pursue that relationship. Like, I don't believe that you should get rid of something like that just because you think that you need that to succeed with what you're doing, because you can succeed with what we're doing whether she's there or not. And if there are difficulties along the way, then we will handle them along the way. It's not going to be a problem. It's just you being aware of what's happening, and okay, now I got really strong emotions here and they're all over the place. Okay, fine. Let's work on that then. I mean, we can incorporate that. It's just part of life. And if it's not about her, it might be about something different in life anyway, because life happens. So there are always going to be difficulties for anyone in any situation. It's just that you, as you said, you have attachment issues and blah, blah, blah. Sure. But when your self-confidence is growing, I bet you that that is going to get better as well. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, I'm thinking that, like, I've been doing a lot of observation, as I said, a lot of
I bet you have.
yeah, a lot of observation, and she left yesterday morning. I took her back home, and I noticed that after she left, I had that same feeling, which I've described to you a number of times. I had that same feeling internally of not knowing where my center is, not being able to sit with myself. After she left, it's like I had no focus, no point, no purpose. And I didn't eat sugar, but I did something similar in that the same way I wake up in the morning and I feel depressed and I almost plan the destruction of the day. I told myself, now that she's gone, like, I'm just going to do fuck all today. Like, I'm just going to sort of mope around and feel sorry for myself in her absence. I didn't know what to do with those feelings of being sad that she was gone and missing her. And I didn't want to eat on those feelings. So I just like spent all day binge watching a TV series. I watched like the first 4 episodes of season 3, The Boys, which I highly recommend to anyone. It's depraved lunacy at its best. But the binge watching, which I haven't done for a while, it was a similar thing to eating sugar. It was about like shutting down my feelings.
Yeah.
And then after I finished The Boys, and there were no more episodes to watch because I'd gone as far as you can go right now, I began looking for other series to binge watch as well. And then I started watching Love, Death and Robots, which is also spectacular. I highly recommend it to all your subscribers. And again, so I spent like half of the day yesterday trying to kind of numb myself in front of my laptop. And normally I do that with junk food. So really it's like an addictive process with one of the components missing that's ordinarily there. And that was because she left. I didn't know how to handle her absence. That's why I wanted to bring it up today, because even though I didn't feel, the inflammation, the horrible carb coma, the physical consequences of binging on sugar, I did have similar emotional feelings of like guilt and shame for wasting the day. And that's why I wanted to bring it up, because like, it's when we're together, it's great. There's always something to do, somewhere to go. There's like this sense of purpose, and I can forget that I even exist because it's all about the other person,
So in these moments, it's the same thing as with the cravings. Like, can you just sit and feel the sadness of her being gone and notice what's going on, like what thoughts you're having and how that sadness feels in your body?
Well, I definitely should. I learned to do that. That's I need to do that, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to handle relationships in the future. I've always been like this. I've never addressed it.
No, of course not. It's uncomfortable as fuck. Most people wouldn't want to address that.
So, yeah.
And it might be that you are using her as a way of not thinking about the cravings and everything else as well. So she's your dopamine right now. So when she's gone, okay, where do I get my dopamine from?
I don't think I would word it in such a way.
No, I don't mean it in a malicious way. It's just that is what it is.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't malice perceived
Okay.
that brings me to that conclusion. It's the implied intention. There's no
Oh no,
intention.
no intention. It's just is because it
It's
feels good to be with
incidental.
her.
It's
Yeah.
incidental. It's incidental. Like this person, like inserted herself into my life, and I just couldn't refuse. Like it was just too good an opportunity to pass up. And when you
And
think
it feels
someone's,
really, really good.
it does,
Yeah.
it does. It feels great when someone thinks you're the bee's knees.
So maybe, yes, maybe, I mean, if you were doing the 12 steps, maybe that wouldn't be a good idea because they're not really working the way that we're working. But what you're trying to learn now is to handle your emotions. So as long as she is where you are, that's going to be easy because she's going to be kind of putting a lid on them almost because she's providing that dopamine just by being there. She doesn't have to do anything. You're just like, oh, I feel good when I'm around her. And then we remove her, and all of a sudden you're back at where you were. So it's still the same work that you have to do. It's just that now you're kind of
Yeah,
attributing that to being left
I
when she
will. I
goes
will say.
home.
I will say one thing. I will say one
Just one.
thing. Fuck you. I will say one thing in defense of what is going on, and that is that ordinarily there's a there's like there's a connection between my desire to go carnivore and my desire to benefit from the weight loss, and then the weight loss is connected in various ways. It's often connected in my thoughts to wanting to be confident again, or wanting the absence of all my self consciousness about my body, especially when um, interacting with women and navigating relationships. Um, this girl has been fantastic over the last 2 weeks because whenever I hook up with someone, it always happens. I have to like go through this process of just sharing with them that I hate my body and I'm working on it, but I've got issues with my appearance. And she's been fucking great and really understanding and supportive. But like, so what I was going to say was, over the years, I've wanted to lose weight so that I could feel confident around women and get the relationship that I desired. Then, when I would enter a relationship which I perceived I desired, I would always rationalize eating badly because I would say to myself, well, I've got a girlfriend now who loves me, so fuck it, just eat as much crap as I want. And that hasn't happened with this girl. In fact, this girl keeps forgetting that I'm on carnivore and like will lift up a pound of chocolate to my face and say, "Do you want a bite?" And I have refused maybe like 5 or 6 times. So that's what I wanted to say is this time around I'm not using the perceived achievement of having a sexual partner in my life as an excuse to just give up and to be intentionally complacent. Like, in fact, it's the opposite. She says, she's proud of me, and I want, I actually want to be a better man.
So if you turn this around, like all the things that she says that you're like just soaking up, can you say that to yourself?
if I put on a silly voice, maybe.
Are you proud of yourself for what you've done the last 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can recognize intellectually that I've done good.
So where I would like you to get is where she says nice things, she says not so nice things, and it's like none of it matters because I'm saying nice things to myself, and that's enough. Of course, it's still nice when she says nice things. But if she doesn't, it doesn't really matter because you're having your own back as well.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one, like,
Yeah, but that's
because
something
being
that
vulnerable to
we have
someone.
another 13 weeks to work on that.
No, what I meant is we might not agree on that. Maybe we do, and we just don't know it. But my
So what are we not
disagreement.
agreeing on? Yeah, tell me,
Well,
what's your disagreement?
well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I want to be completely invulnerable and impervious to another person's words, because yeah, you're protected from the hurt caused by um, the negative attacks or the projections or the um, neglect, but then you're also not vulnerable enough to be open to all of the positive stuff either. It's sort of like, I don't know,
Yeah, I get
I
what you're
might be
saying.
wrong.
So what if what she says is nice to hear, but even if she doesn't say it, you already am proud of what you're doing? And if she were to say something that is not so nice, could you just take that as some sort of feedback, depending on what it is, but without that actually being something that puts you down and makes you less confident because you already have your own back when that happens? Does that make any more sense?
It does. Everything that's like the last 2 weeks, I knew it was going to be a challenge. I knew it was. I knew that maybe I was taking on more than I could handle. But then also sometimes I
Or
think
maybe
that
this is the perfect opportunity for you that.
I was just about to say the very same thing. Like, maybe meeting her has been exactly what I needed,
Yeah.
because
Because this is how you want to live your life. You want to be with
it
someone.
is, and I needed some tests. Like, I needed some new tests because I've been living through all the same tests over the last 11 months. I needed some new ones. I needed some I needed a little bit more pressure. As I'm sure Bart would agree, the precursor to evolution is always pressure, stress.
Yeah, but right now
Um,
you're handling it. And what you told me like 15 minutes ago is like, oh, I don't know if I could stay focused on this process, but what if that is just part of the process? Like it's all the same thing. It's just a different
it
flavor of the same
is.
thing.
It is. You're absolutely right. It is, and I can say, like, hand on my heart, for the last 2 weeks, every time something toxic and insecure and potentially destructive is brewing in me as a response to a situation that makes me uncomfortable, makes me insecure. Every time I've just sat down with her, and I've done that thing whereby what I've done is I've said to her, like, I give her like a little disclaimer, and I say, let me say everything that I want to say right now. I know before I say it that it's wrong, but it's just what's in me right now. So would you mind letting me just get it off my chest so that we can observe it together? And she's allowed me to do that. And I've been very fortunate that she understands intuitively that process and why it's so healthy, why it's important. And every time I get something negative off my chest, she astonishes me by saying, thank you. She says, thanks for sharing that.
Hmm.
So she's been really good for me.
Yes.
But yeah.
And you can be really good for her when you start living into all of that we talked about last time. I have the list here. Being stable, positive, decisive, unafraid, considerate, determined, fun, charming, selfless, interested, and curious in other people. You have a person to practice that on.
Yeah,
Someone
indeed.
who's willing to listen, someone who understands, who supports you.
And, she, and
You're
she's had a
lucky.
fucking I am, and she's had a fucking hard time as well.
Yeah.
Like a life about it's obviously vulgar to quantify, but for the sake of simplicity, let's say her life has been 20 times harder than mine, to the point where I just can't believe that I feel sorry for myself sometimes when I look at how strong she is.
Mm.
So
So if you can draw on that energy and like she's been through a lot worse, I can definitely fucking do this. There's nothing stopping you. The only thing stopping you is that you don't want to feel certain emotions. It's the only thing.
yeah, I don't think it's the only thing. I think um, there are two things. There's that,
Mm-hmm.
but the second thing, which is very, very dangerous, the most dangerous thing about me is that I am negatively charged. Like I'm not weak. I am powerful, but I have harnessed all of my power against myself for the last 20 years. And I've, been beating myself up. And that's the program that I'm stuck in. And
But you
I
have
feel,
awareness now and you know that you have been stuck in that. So what's stopping you from being unstuck?
well, it's to a certain extent, it's the sheer weight and the potency of my negative thoughts and feelings. They're apocalyptically sad and defeatist um, and
And do you
pessimistic.
believe them?
Well, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I do believe them. So, I mean, not the ones pertaining to my future, but just the future of man. Like, God, there's just no end to the insanity. There's just so I've been thinking recently, like I just need to take an extended vacation from the outside world and just focus on me for a while and just
Yeah.
forget that Joey
Sometimes
Carb
that's the
strong
best medicine.
exists. Say again.
Sometimes that's the best medicine. Like when you're focusing on all the bullshit going on, and that's everything that you read, you see, It's going to be hard to stay positive. So if you just need to kind of detox yourself from news and bullshit going on, then I'm all for that. It just gives you an opportunity to actually have a roam around inside your brain, see what's actually there when it's not influenced by all that negativity. So you put yourself in a situation where you have all of that negative input. And no matter how much you, I mean, you could potentially manage your brain, but it's going to be a lot of hard work if you just like constantly bombard it with that shit.
Just indulge me for 30 seconds, just to sort of give you like a little
Yeah, I'm counting
snapshot.
down. 30 seconds. Go.
Just, all right, just to give you like a snapshot of what it's like to deal with my frustration. Like we've got, we've seen over the last 10 years this, sort of paramilitary arm of the left, like disseminating all of this anti-Nazi kind of rhetoric in a world which doesn't really have many Nazis left anymore, except in certain
30
pockets.
seconds.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. So I hate you so much. So
I love you.
like, there have been chauvinists who've been accused of being Nazis and punched and assaulted in the street. There are, populists called Nazis who are attacked and punched in the street. Right wingers, Christian conservatives, people I would never associate with willingly, but I would certainly debate them with civility on political and moral issues. But the point is, they're not Nazis. Not in any sane world could they be categorized as such. So we've been sort of on this Nazi witch hunt looking for Nazis where they don't actually exist. And whilst we've been doing that over the last 10 years, there has been a coup, organized and supported by, Zelensky and Biden and Obama, and a government with actual links to Nazi paramilitary groups is in control of the Ukraine. And it is pretty much socially acceptable in the Ukraine to have swastika tattoos kind of open in public. There are no social ramifications in the Ukraine for having swastikas on your clothes or on your skin. There are countless examples.
Hurry up.
All right. So
That's 3 minutes.
So the big bad wolf, Vladimir Putin, who is almost certainly, an expansionist and a threat to the West, has decided to invade. And much the same way, Stalin and Hitler were fighting, you've got one nasty right-wing fascist against another, one authoritarian fighting another. It's just one is losing. But before Russia invaded the Ukraine, they were murdering thousands of people, locking up journalists, murdering and arresting the political opposition. Now today, as I was driving down North Street in Bristol on the way to get coffee, because Bristol's got this big thing about graffiti. There's like artistic graffiti, a bit like Berlin. It's everywhere. Bristol's like one of the most famous cities in the world for graffiti, I guess because of Banksy. And on North Street, there's this huge mural of Zelensky, and he's got like a shirt on, and underneath the shirt, which is kind of partially opened in the shape of a V, there's the Superman costume.
Yep.
So we in Bristol, which is the wokest, most vegan, most feminist, most Antifa, most Remain in Europe voting, most sign off your email with your fucking pronouns, like woke fucking hellhole in the whole country. Someone, probably on the left, has made a painting of an actual fucking Nazi who is losing a war against another authoritarian fascist. And I just, as soon as I saw that mural, I just wanted to fucking jump off of a bridge. Like, when you just think about that, when you think about everything that goes into that and everything that goes into tolerating that and endorsing it, supporting it, worshipping it, you know, like just the level of stupidity and hypocrisy in painting a picture of a fascist in Bristol because that fascist is currently losing a war against other fascists. It's remarkable. So
Okay,
yeah,
if you want coaching on this and managing your brain, we have to do that next week. But
sorry, but yeah, I wish I could just detach from it, but the level of fucking insanity and stupidity now it's just reached stratospheric proportions, and honestly, I sometimes in my my darkest moments, I think, well, why bother self-improving at all? Why not just fucking end it all? Like what is the if there's like a healthy, strong version of me in the future that's post recovery, what is the world in which I'm going to be living in anyway? Well, what is there waiting for me to be a part of other than this big festival of fucking retardation? So
do you want us to
that's an
go through this?
example. Well, no, I'm just saying that's an example of the
Yes.
kind of the turmoil inside me, meaning it's not all invented. It's not that there's a positive spin on everything, but I'm choosing to be negative. I am seeing a sort of Orwellian phenomenon where a positive slant is being forced onto something that's actually quite sinister and toxic. There's an actual painting of a fascist on the wall of a city that has like the biggest
Yes.
Antifa
But you're
stronghold in the whole
assigning
fucking
meaning to
country.
it.
Say again?
You have decided what that means in your head. Not everyone agrees with you. It's not a universal truth. Now, you might want to have that belief, and that is fine. I'm not going to try to change your beliefs if you want to keep them. But it's
It's just
not
my analysis.
just black and white.
It's just my political,
Yeah.
philosophical, moral analysis. It's not a belief that I want to hold on to. If they're, if I had adversaries in front of me now disagreeing with me, I would listen, and if they were reasonable and informed, my position would probably alter. That's just I tried. That's
Okay. I
all.
don't have
Yeah.
time to talk about this right now because I need
Sorry.
to go to the vets. But I wanted actually to dig into your self-confidence, and we didn't get a lot of time to do that. So I want to
Oh,
go
I've
there
got
next week.
loads. I'm all right
Yes.
for self-confidence. I've got plenty. Thanks.
No, you don't. You've stolen it from her. You're borrowing her energy. I want you to find your own energy. So I want to do that next time. But what I want you to do now until we meet, obviously, with a salted hazelnut praline, you're going to do that. And keep having the cravings and allow the cravings, and as many as possible. If you don't get them, go and fabricate some. Again, I want you to have at least 2 per day. Yeah?
That's not going to be a problem.
Good. But if it is, you do get to count sitting with sadness as one of the cravings. It's not a craving, but it will teach you how to handle those emotions. And that counts as well because you're needing that for sure. You really need
I
that.
agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I think moving forward, we should recategorize cravings as any precursory feelings that would
Yeah.
ordinarily lead to addictive behavior.
Yeah. Because that sadness is going to be like, what can I do to get rid of it? And then the craving comes. So that sadness just kind of transferring into a craving, most likely, or it has the propensity to do that anyway. It doesn't necessarily do that every single time. But you're like, oh, what can I do to get rid of it? Oh, yeah, no, I'm not going to eat. I'm going to watch Netflix all day. Okay, cool. Roger. So we have to sign off there because I have to run. But you know what to do and fill it in because we need to really analyze that.
We need data.
Yes, we need data, lots of data. Sweet. Okay, thanks for watching this week. We will be back next week in 8 days rather than 7. So we're pushing it forward 1 day. Same time and same place. So see you then. Bye.